Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It is with thanks to English Electric Motor Co that I've had this Zero FXE on loan for a couple of weeks to make videos on, which I have multiple ones on my channel right now, and the review. This is my final review on the bike. It's been cut a little short because of a problem with the bike, which I'll get into at the end of the video. It could happen to any bike, you know, problems do come up. I was given this bike from absolutely brand new, so any of the teething issues that can come up, I was the one that experienced them. And obviously you can get that with petrols and any other brand, but that does not take away from the amount of fun that I had on this bike in the time that I had it. So I'm going to get out on the road in a minute, but I'm just going to cover a few facts. So yes, this is the Zero FXE 11 kilowatt version, so this can be ridden on a CBT. It is £13,000 basically if you have the quick charger put into it. This hasn't got the quick charger, this has only got the standard charger. You just plug this one into a kettle lead in your garage using a 3-pin plug and it will charge the battery, and around 10 hours is the figure given. I haven't timed it. The thing is, the FXE is actually basically the same as the FXS, and I've done extensive range testing and all sorts of things like that on the FXS, and it seemed kind of pointless to go into that much depth with the FXE because it's the same bike underneath. The changes they made were the aesthetics, you know, the look of it. This was done in collaboration with a company called HOODIES. I actually do think it does look very, very nice. So this bike is not for everyone and it is not cheap, but it does some things that are amazing. We have ABS disc brakes front and rear. It's a single disc on the front, but it is a big one, and that's actually very effective. The rear brake is actually quite weak on its own because the ABS is so intrusive, as it were, but it's kind of good because it means you can stamp on that rear brake and it's not going to lock up. Obviously the motor's in the middle, the battery's inside there. And on this side you can see we got a big pulley opposed to a chain. That's one of the things that makes this bike so quiet. It does have a whine to it, and obviously there is tyre roar and there's the sound of brakes and things that alerts pedestrians to you being there, but this is one very quiet bike, and it's also very, very quick. So you do need to be, you know, you need to pay attention to that fact and be the ears for people who might not hear you coming. So other than the cosmetic changes, as I say, and this TFT screen, which is the same as what comes on the SRF and SRS. And it's definitely a much updated screen compared to what they had on the old FXS. I very much like it. Everything else, as I say, is comparable with the FXS. So, you know, as I say, the 10-hour charging time, the sort of 60 to 80 mile range, depending on how you're riding it, 40 miles if you're on the motorway, absolutely flat out. I've been surprised by how much I've been able to do in a single charge, and you can see that in the videos that I've already put up on this bike. Well, let's get going because it's getting very, very hot standing still. Oh, that's nice cool breeze. That's one of the benefits of an electric in the summer. No hot engine you're sat on top of to keep you, you know, like bake you at the lights or anything. This is properly chilled. Now, if you don't watch my channel, you may not be aware of this, but one of my two bikes and my absolute, you know, problem child, but I love it so much bike, is my DRZ 400SM Supermoto. I love Supermoto bikes, and this rides and feels, and it is very much like a Supermoto. It is leery, it is quick, it's grunty because of, you know, all the torque you've got from this thing. As I say, it is CBT legal, but it does 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds depending on the charge. Your performance will reduce slightly over time, not that noticeably, but then, you know, when it comes to split second timings you might notice it, which helps give you a bit more battery life. Now, I haven't top speed run this bike, but it will easily hold 80 plus mile an hour. As I say, 80 mile an hour, it's still got more to go. I just didn't need to use any more speed than that at the time. Because the standards of electric bikes for the CBT are done by sustained output and not peak output like with petrols, this basically can just go wham up to 15 brake horsepower immediately from the motor and just give you that flat through the board, whereas in a petrol engine it's going to have to get up through the, you know, the revs to hit that peak power for a moment. This has got that peak power all of the time, and it makes a huge difference. As I say, those performance figures are not 125 figures, they are like 400cc figures. They're the same as my DR, so as quick as my DR. It's lighter than my DR, well, at least it feels it, but that may be because it's slightly shorter. It's about 135 kilos roughly, but it is a very light bike. It doesn't feel huge, and because of that and the good suspension it's got on it, which is adjustable front and rear, plus the fact that you don't get any vibrations from a motor to get in the way of the feel of the ride, the handling on this thing is sublime. It is absolutely amazing. I love it. And it's exactly what I said about the FXS. And as I say, this is just an FXS with better looks. Now, over the videos that I've made on this, I have had lots of discussions to do with, you know, who is this bike for? And a lot of people say, you know, CBT legal bike that's 13 grand is just ridiculous. Who the hell is that for? I agree with you. It is expensive in the grand scheme of things. It's not necessarily expensive comparatively, because people want to make a comparison between electric bikes and petrol bikes, and it's like, you're looking at two different technologies. That's not the same thing. You can't do that. If there was an electric that was just like this, that was a lot cheaper, that would make this expensive in the sense of comparatively. But say, I'm not taking away from the fact that it is expensive to purchase, but it is not comparatively expensive when you take the performance into consideration, because, you know, above this you're going up to 20 grand and below this you're down to about 5, but your performance is like a slow 125. I reviewed this as what it is and not what it isn't, and what it is fast, light, fun as hell. Again, last time I had one of these I was like, I kind of prefer riding this to my DR. I prefer riding this to my DR, okay? I just do. It's so much easier to just jump on this thing and fly off. You don't have to warm the thing up. It's not so finickety. And when you want to get through town, you're not on and off the clutch and up and down the gears. I love that about my DR. I don't want to get rid of it. But if I'm just riding around for a few hours, I actually prefer riding this. I love the instant power. I love the quietness of it. I mean, yes, of course, this doesn't make a sound like a petrol bike, but equally, it doesn't make a sound. And people always see that sound going away as a thing being taken away. But with something that's taken away is something that is given back. And that, as I say, is the experience of riding through country roads silently almost. But because you don't disturb the nature and things so much, you know, you don't scare horses and sheep and birds and stuff away so much. Okay, you need to be aware of that. You could run into a deer. You almost feel like you're moving through the landscape rather than, you know, like perfectly slipstreaming through a glass flat pond of water, opposed to causing ripples. On a petrol bike, you cause ripples. Okay, birds, wildlife, everything, even the local villagers are screaming out their windows at you for being noisy. You cause ripples, and as I say, I've had this connection, a more, like a very true connection to like that freedom side of motorcycling. To be clear here, I don't know that this is what I'm going to discover after riding a bike. I just ride them and I experience the experience and see how that makes me feel and try and work out why we like bikes and what is it about bikes that we like and what makes the difference between this and that. And it's obviously it's taste and it's our individual preferences, but there is more to it than that. There is certain truths about certain aspects. That's enough philosophy, to be clear, but that's why I love these things so much. Yes, it doesn't charge on fast chargers, but the range is about enough for a day's ride that you can come home and charge it overnight, or at least a day's commute. As I say, I have discussed this in previous videos. If you're really interested in buying one of these bikes, I'd say watch my FXS videos and the new FXE videos, because, as I say, the real in-depth tested range information and stuff I did it on FXS. This bike is actually quite a bit shorter than my DRZ, but it is wider, so if you've got short legs you might still have some issues, but I think shorter riders will find this much more accessible. So without question, this bike is not for everyone. It is not for your average 17-year-old. Just because it says CBT doesn't mean 17, that could mean 70. It's just the first ticket to get into riding motorcycles, and you're going to need a CBT to ride this, or anything pretty much. It is limited in its range because it's a light electric. If they gave it bigger batteries, it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't be so light and fun and quick. So, you know, you give some, you take some, but it's enough. Performance, range, all of that is enough. The price is just too much for most people at this point. If this bike was 7 grand, say, I can see, or even 8 maybe, because, you know, you're going to have to accept the fact that this is not a petrol bike and they're charging like 5 grand for 125s these days, so, you know, around that mark I think a lot of people would be interested. Unfortunately, because of its price, it reduces that group of people significantly. So that's, as I say, why I tested this from a fun toys perspective, because the people buying it are going to be buying it for that reason. And for those people, if you just want, as I say, an easy run around that you can ride on a CBT, is fast enough to jump on a motorway for a bit, It's no 125 by any means. It's different. It gets a lot of attention from a lot of people. Everyone is looking at you like, what the hell is that thing? It's a lot of fun just to ride around and just see people just losing their mind. I mean, it's great for me because I kind of feel like I'm sharing this future technology that I'm getting to experience with other people. Seeing something like this pass for the first time is an experience. It's something you'll do for the first time, like the first time you see a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something. It may stick with you. It's a poignant point. And if I say that I prefer riding this to my DR, that's enough. This thing is bloody amazing, and if I had the cash, if I was that well off, I absolutely would love to own one of these. It's fantastic, and if you can afford it, go and test ride one. And if it's the miles are enough for you and the charging time's okay, as I say, you can get a quick charger to speed that up. This is really good, really good, and I absolutely love it. And as I say, huge thanks to English Electric for lending it to me to be able to experience this. And in ways it sucks because I really missed the FXS, and I got this one back and thought, I wonder if I'll love it as much, and I absolutely do, if not more. So it's going to suck even more giving this one back, although I actually do have an FX full power Enduro coming next, so subscribe to see that. Okay, so should we get on to the elephant in the room, which is my 10% of battery remaining, the fact I've been riding slowly and locally in eco, and the fact that I mentioned there is an issue with this bike. I have another video coming after this one which explains how to reset the BMS, which is to do with the charging system. It was working perfectly, been charging completely normally, and the other day I plugged it in with its kettle lead and it started trying to charge, and then when I came back to it later on, it was flashing a red symbol basically saying I can't charge. So tried differently, tried a different socket, tried a few different things, didn't help. Spoke to English Electric, Alec got straight back to me, explained to me how to reset the BMS, which requires you to just take some side panels off the seat off, find a little grease-filled hole and stick your finger in it and press one of the two buttons in there. I'm not joking. That resets the BMS, which is to do with the charging system, and that hasn't fixed the fault. Which means that this bike has most likely developed a built-in charger fault or something with that system. It sucks because it means I can't charge it. It means I've got no power left after this. I've only got 9% at this point. I need to think about this. And it also obviously sucks because I think a lot of people are going to go, oh, you see, that's electric for you. This is what's going to be the problem. Let's be clear here. This bike was absolutely brand new when it came to me, as I say, and none of the bugs that can happen with bikes, petrol or non-petrol, have been found. Previously, the bikes have had a few hundred miles on them, and I assume if any problems had come up, they either didn't, or they've already ironed those out. I think it was just very unlucky. I've never had a problem with an electric before, other than the charger cable itself I was given was faulty once. But that wasn't a fault of the bike. And this is just a kettle lead, so I tried my own kettle lead and didn't solve the problem. Now obviously if I was a customer, this is going to get dealt with under warranty to fix whatever issues those are. They'll get the parts in and fix it. On one hand, yes, this shouldn't have gone wrong at this point maybe, but as I say, things happen. But then equally, it's actually going to be a relatively easy fix for them, because assuming it is that unit that needs replacing, it's a case of taking this bodywork off, unscrewing and unplugging the old unit, plugging the new one in, and bish bash bosh done. Because you're not fixing electronics generally. I don't think they're going to go to the point of replacing parts on a board, at least at a dealership level. They're probably going to just replace the unit, which in theory should mean that it wouldn't be in the shop too long. It's not like getting your gearbox replaced. 2005 R1s had a recall, they had to replace the entire gearbox. That's going to take a while. Now, it's just an example of things that do happen. That was an actual recall due to a manufacturer fault that was bad for all of them, a design fault as it were. As I say, I do my bike reviews honestly and openly, and I'm not going to hide the fact that that happened from my audience. English Electric are very cool with this. They understand things happen and they fix them, so that's not an issue for them. And that is actually very comforting to see a company confident enough in their product that even when something goes wrong, they can just say, yep, it happened, we'll sort it. We'll sort it for you, we'll sort it for anyone. Well, obviously not for me, because this bike's got to go back in a couple of days, so it wouldn't be it wouldn't make sense to get it fixed in time for me to do a review in a couple of days' time. And I've ridden this enough now that I know what I think of it. I know how sad I'm going to be when it's gone. Now I'm at 6% battery, so I daren't gun it anywhere. If you want to see this bike's true performance, as I say, go to my channel, watch some of my previous videos on it, check out those videos on the FXS. Obviously I also took this green laning, that was a lot of fun, and I'll be doing that with the enduro bike I'm getting soon. Yeah, this is going to be good. But yeah, that's basically it. I think I don't need to go into any much more detail. You know, I look forward to the day that other people can not balk at the price and see them for the good things. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do smash that like button. I would appreciate it a lot. And if you'd also like to help support this channel, and it's one of the ways that I can do this so independently, so freely, not work directly with like companies, going to press days and stuff. I give you the honest reviews, doing it in my own way without any of their BS. That's only possible thanks to my patrons. So if you want to get on board and help with that, then please do. Links in the description. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one soon.